You know, I love parts of Mega Man to death, but I can't imagine making content on just him. It just feels like the news cycle for this franchise on the software side of things is consistently barren unless you play exactly X-Dive. And I, for one, don't hate myself that much. I do hate myself enough to play Genshin, though. I'll let you figure that one out. I mean, the fact that Battle Network ROMs being found in a leaked NSO emulator is the closest we've gotten to real news regarding the series' 20th anniversary is kind of a bad look for Capcom at face value, given their track record of radio silence with this IP specifically. Hell, I've been talking about the prospect of a legacy collection since November of 2020, and in that span of time, we've gotten basically nothing. And I'll be going through why the situation isn't as dire as it might look and sound, but understand that general optics are still pretty crucial when it comes to consumer confidence. I mean, Atlus puts out really good JRPGs between Megaten and Persona, but they're also celebrating Persona's 25th anniversary with a digital-only port of Ultimax with no rollback at launch, digital wallpapers, and mouthwash. See what I mean? They make good games, but they also just look incompetent at every turn, and that's not good. Funny, but not good. Alright, let's address the newest elephant in the room. Do I think the prospect of Battle Network coming to NSO nixes the chance for a legacy collection? No. Mostly. There's always the chance Capcom can track some of Atlus' brain spiders, but I'd like to think that modern Capcom is a bit smarter than the suits who were shocked that P4G sold well on PC for $20. First off, it's important to keep in mind that given how N64 and Genesis were handled, GBA access will likely be limited to the NSO expansion pack, and I'll be frank, keeping the series locked solely behind a $50 subscription service that Capcom themselves don't own just sounds bizarre, especially since they know there's demand for a proper collection. Not to mention, the tested ROMs that were found are just that, tests. 2 serves as the pre-version split test, and 5 for post-version split. You have to be sure that both run well, but also test a title where link cable functionality is more relevant, seeing as the different versions of Battle Networks 3 through 6 have exclusive chips to trade for to fill out the library. Next, it's still not too late for a Battle Network collection if the dates of the other legacy collections are any indication. Using the initial physical dates as a benchmark, there's a fairly consistent gap of about 2 years between each one. Classic 1 in 2016, X1 and 2 in 2018, and most recently, Zero ZX in 2020. And yes, I'm aware I skipped Classic Collection 2. It's the only instance of a series legacy collection having a staggered release like this, and seeing as this was the first time that Capcom had done anything relevant with Mega Man in 5 years, it's safe to say that the weirdness surrounding the Classic Collections was the exception, not the rule. So with this timeline, a Battle Network collection in 2022, anniversary deadline notwithstanding, would make sense. In a normal world anyway, COVID has done, and is frankly still doing, damage to the games industry as a whole, and Battle Network's 20th anniversary is just one example of that. Rockman Unity's Takekuni Uchida said as much back in 2021. That if it wasn't for the state of the world, he might have had more to show beyond a figure prototype and an X-Dive collab. And finally, assuming a Battle Network collection is in the works, we don't know how much extra work they're willing to put into one. The first 3 were fairly simple, just clean up and port the games with light leaderboard functionality for the speedrunning crowd. That's really all that was needed for the solely single-player games that those series are. But Battle Network isn't just a single-player game. It has fully fledged PvP with a handful of tailor-made chips, unique turn-limited format to prevent matches from running endlessly, and even game-specific tech that almost emulate fighting game mechanics, like how Beast Out in Battle Network 6 doubles as both a power-up and recovery option from hit stun or status effects like paralysis. and this competitive aspect can be seen both in-universe and in real life. Battle Networks 3 and 4 both center heavily around tournament arcs, as well as the early parts of the NT Warrior anime. I mean, come on, show me a Battle Network fan who doesn't at least vaguely recall the N1 Grand Prix, and chances are I'll show you a filthy liar. As for the IRL side of things, there's a reason why I called out Battle Network 6 earlier. It's because it's the premier title for Battle Network's international competitive scene, run by the folks over at the N1 Grand Prix. Name's a little on the nose, but hey, don't fix what ain't broken, right? They hold online events super often, post cool VOD clips all the time on Twitter, and have a wealth of resources for new players between their Excel sheets and Discord server. And to top it all off, they just recently implemented rollback netcode. Rollback for a MegaMan game of all things. Most traditional fighters would kill for that kind of official support, and yet this is all fan-driven. The level of dedication on display is just surreal, and shows the potential a Battle Network collection with netplay could have. Whether or not Capcom's actually working on a collection of that caliber, though, is a bit of a toss-up. They've thrown the series under the bus once before with the Wii U, but I'd chalk the lack of netplay there up to being on the Wii U. I can't say I blame them for cheaping out in that case. But provided they are willing to take the plunge for online play this time, it's not unreasonable to think that we could see official rollback, seeing as the upcoming Capcom Fighting Collection is adding it to 10 different games at once. Not to say that implementing rollback is easy, mind you, but as the N1 guys have proven, it's clearly possible. It really just comes down to how much they actually value Battle Network as part of the larger Mega Man IP, beyond squeezing merch and gotcha blood money out of it. So, to recap. No, Battle Network's chances for a Legacy collection haven't diminished, even with the recent NSO leaks. The expansion pack is an exceptionally bad place to keep the series locked up, and it's likely that Capcom knows this. It doesn't make sense to rule one out timeline-wise, since this year would have fit perfectly with the pacing of the other collections if COVID weren't a factor. And on top of COVID, Battle Network likely requires more dev time compared to Classic X and ZRG due to the series inherently having multiplayer components that need proper online implementation. All in all, I'm still hopeful for this series to get its time in the limelight after Zero and ZX kinda cut both Battle Network and Legends in line, and it just comes down to being patient in the meanwhile as always. The deadpan silence can be worrying given the company in question, but hopefully I've managed to ease those concerns at least a little bit. If you made it to the end of the video, first off, thank you. This one took a bit more out of me on account of needing to de-rust my scripting and editing skills, and I use the word skills very loosely, so it means a lot that you were willing to sit through my work. If you enjoyed your time here, I'd appreciate it if you'd leave a like and a comment, perhaps even subscribing with that horrid bell icon so YouTube can probably notify you when I will content into existence. I'm also pretty active on Twitter at ZRV Gaming for both video game and TCG related content, so you can follow me there as well if you feel so inclined. Thanks again so much for watching, and have a good one.